Hello. Today's episode number 133 of the Professor Slots podcast discusses Are Slots Random? Plus, in this episode, I'll be covering the current state of slot machine casino gambling in the great U.S. state of Maine. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is the podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance. In case you missed it, on my last episode, I went over how slots is a thinking person's game for my weekly live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Further, I reviewed Louisiana slot machine casino gambling in 2021. I hope you enjoyed listening to my last episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Here's the audio recording of my latest live stream Q&A session. And good morning, or good afternoon. Hello, slots enthusiasts. How are you? I'm John Friedel. Welcome to Professor Slots, a channel where you learn to play slots smarter and leave the casino with your winnings. It's great to see you all here again for another Professor Slots podcast episode and live stream. And it's already busy in the live chat. If you're with us live, be sure to say hello and ask your slots related questions. I'll check in with the live chat in a little later in the show. And special thanks to Paula, as always, for being our moderator today. Thanks, Paula. Thanks also to the many new slots enthusiasts participating in this weekly live stream or download my podcast episodes. It's great to have you all here. But first order of business. Thank you so much to Sally, who a few minutes ago during the pre-show, always lively pre-show, who shared, who donated to the show with a, let me show it to you if I haven't. There it is. Sally donated $12.30 to the show. Very much appreciated. And it's a super chat. So she could type in some stuff. And she said, hey, Pro Peace. That's her name for Professor Friedel, where Friedel is the German word for peace. So she calls me Pro Peace. Other people call me PS. She says, I made it on time again, 2 weeks in a row. I'm on a roll. Maybe I should be playing craps. I've my brain cap strapped on. Let the shenanigans commence. Yes, she has been on a live chat before, and she knows that it gets a little rambunctious, might be the proper word for it. But I also want to thank Chuck for his donation. Chuck is a regular donator, and he says, good morning to everybody. His donation was $20.21. Thank you so much, Chuck. I very much appreciate it. Now, as I mentioned last time, there are a few things going on now. I have let's see if I can do this properly. Before we get into our topic today, there are now have merchandise set up. So if you look at the live chat is only turned on for the live stream. If you're watching this video at a later time, I've turned off the live chat. So this is only exclusively to the live stream. And so I put up the first item on my merchant shelf for a slot, I have it in the other room. I got some, I should have made it here. And so I put that link up into the live chat. But if you go to the merchandise channel, merchandise drawer, I think I can do that. Yes. I show you this. Here is my store. So at this location, you can press that tab and you will see the 12 things I have to offer. Each one of these that have a color have multiple colors, many colors, but I just tried to put a variety up on the main image for each. So it says, I'm a slots enthusiast on the back, and on the front, it has my logo. Unlike this, although this is stitched for employees. And so you're welcome to take a look at any of that if you'd like it. Now, I set that up very recently, and let me not share that anymore, because there is something else I wanted to point out that's new. Where are you at? There you are. Which is memberships. So I might as well do this now before we get into our topic. It's also a little bit easier to do this now because there's not as many people. So again, this is my main page. And if you go to the join button, which has now joined next. You want to know how to... I'll stop that. There's a introductory video about 60 seconds long, 63 seconds long. I have 3 levels: fan, enthusiast, and champion. With the fan, you get badges and emojis that you can use. And the more fans I get, or any of these tiers on my Players Club, I guess we call it that, the more emojis I get to put in. So since last time, I've added 2 more, LOL and BOOB, or BOOM. And so, and then there's the top tier, champions. And for this one, we're going to have Zoom meetings, and I'll talk about that a little bit later when more people are on the show. So I wanted to tell you quickly what happened last week. What happened last week was, Magpie. Need to recognize people. Thank you, Magpie, for your $20 donation. Let's get them all in at one time. Great. Normally I like to wait, but I just appreciate these donations so much that I want to just drop what I'm doing and say thank you so much. Right. So I wanted to mention that early in the show, we have a few people here, 50, and at the end of the show we have a couple hundred. So I wanted to get some of this stuff out of the way for this, and it's great that the numbers are climbing. Last week I had twice as many people as normal, and it's already exceeding, even a few minutes in, what I normally get total concurrently just before the end of the show. So it's going to be a great day. All right. Introductory stuff out of the way. I've got some details and announcements to make about the course and some other things, and I'll put that towards later in the show. Let's talk about today's topic, which is, get rid of that. Okay. And get this up. Okay. Lately, I've been getting a lot of questions. Actually, I've always have gotten a lot of questions. And I've been working on ways to explain it, but it's interesting. Sort of like I've been trying to understand the barriers to people understanding what's going on. Basically, last time I talked about how to win at slots. And just the whole idea that you can win at slots is hard for people. Part of that is because a lot of people kind of remember before central servers came along, where technically it was only 1 or 2 ways, 2 ways where you can, and I talked about those 2 strategies last time, which didn't require central servers for them to exist. And so those existed for, well, I saw it on a Columbo episode from the 70s, so 50 years at least on some of these things. So, but people say, what do you mean slot machines aren't totally random? Now, that's not a technical statement. It's not a technical statement to say totally random as opposed to a little bit random. Is that like being pregnant? You're kind of totally pregnant. So I've been struggling with the best way to sort of answer the question. I could go directly to calculus. That's easy. But that's, I've taught physics for a long time. And one of the things you need to do is to talk about complicated things in ways that are understood. And so you don't exactly simplify it, but you make it understandable. So let's do that. After I explain to my audience that casinos remotely adjust the odds of winning on individual slot machines every day, multiple times each day, I'm often asked by irate fans, those that say bad things about my mother, I usually kick off. There's such a thing as not being very impolite, but I understand people's interest, and irate fans will say, you're saying the slot machines aren't totally random. And so I've been trying to answer that. But one of the answers I've been giving out is, this is a whole topic of discussion, which I don't think most people are particularly interested in. How many of you are, slot machine game designers? But it is worthy of answering. And I was going to get to it. And I thought now would be a good time to start. It's going to take more than an hour to talk about the different aspects because it's a system. But let's talk first, and I'll get into the beginning of the conversation for some other consequences of this first part. But let's talk about the nature of randomness. All right. Right. So my reply into these short comments on, say, YouTube or emails is usually along the lines of, oh, no, slot machines are random, but their spinning reels aren't like roulette wheels. Now, if you've been a long time attendee, participant in the show, you make sure I didn't miss anything here. Keep up on anybody giving a donation, because I do just stop and recognize them. Okay. So, and by the way, in a few minutes, we'll take a break when you get tired of my talking about statistics, and I will go through some of the answers. I thank you for your patience. These live streams are a topic and basically whatever question you have. Eventually, when we get to far too many people, I have to be a question about the topic in order for any of this to work in an hour. Right. So when asked, are you saying that slot machines aren't totally random? I'm not really yelling like I get. But my response is typically, slot machines are random, but their spinning reels aren't like roulette wheels. And if you've been a long time attended to the show, I've mentioned that before. And I also have gotten good responses from that reply because people are like, they're not. And so I thought that would be helpful, but something more is needed. And maybe that's why you're here today. So a roulette wheel is a random number generator. All right. You spin a wheel and it stops on one slot where the ball drops into one slot. That's a random number generator. The random number generated is whatever number of the slot it is, 0, 0, or any of the other black or red or however it is labeled. This is not an electronic RNG. This is a physical RNG. So it's not a circuit. It freely spins. There's a little bit of friction and air resistance, which is also friction, when you spin the wheel. And same thing with the ball that's spun and flung in the other direction. So a dealer spins the numbered wheel in one direction while flinging a small white ball in the opposite direction to ride along the inner edge. Eventually, in an exciting fashion, both the wheel and the ball slow down and eventually stop moving. Just before they both stop moving, just before the ball and the wheel stop moving, the ball ends up in a numbered recess on the wheel, on the top of the wheel. I didn't want to call it a slot. That would be too confusing, but I really can't think of another word, recess. With a balanced and level wheel and no abrupt braking, like you might have seen in old Western movies or something, no abrupt braking applied when turning, this is a random process. It's like flipping a coin, right? Well, and that went well. Flipping a coin, and that is a random process. There's an equal chance for each possible outcome. Heads, tails. 50-50 chance it's going to be one of the two sides. Now, for those of you who are statisticians, that statement probably bothered you. There have been times, possibly with a nickel, when a coin has landed on its edge. So I'm going to ignore those little details that mathematicians would raise their hands up and be irate about. So let's move past that. 50-50 chance, heads or tails, and flipping a coin. Same with a roulette wheel, which is balanced and level. Each possible outcome has the same odds. It's a random process. The ball is as likely to end up in any one slot as any other slot. Now, I just want to make clear that we're going to be talking about slot machines and not roulette wheels. But this is how people think about totally random, what it means. But it's only part of this. So this randomness, like flipping a coin or rolling a dice, is what most people consider to be the only type of random behavior. Yet, what if the rolling die, one die is one of a set of dice? It's important to get this stuff right. So what if the rolling die is misshapen, or the coin being flipped is bent, or the roulette wheel is angled? It's not level. Are these still random processes? This is the key question. Yes, they are still random. However, what's changed is that there is no longer an equal chance for each possible outcome. For example, a malformed six-sided die where every side has a different surface area is still random, but the different surface areas correlate to the likeliness of an outcome. The larger the surface area, the more likely it's going to end up on that side down. So for a misshapen die, there is still a chance for each possible outcome, but no longer an equal chance. Definitely some interesting questions. So we're almost to the break. So I'll being distracted by wonderful questions. We'll get to those. I'll get to those. So now let's consider a slot machine to be something other than it is. Let's consider the physical reels on a non-video slot machine. Let's consider that they're roulette wheels. What I mean is, let's say they come to a halt due to axle friction and air resistance. They slow down, then stop. Other setup conditions for this model of a slot machine, which is inaccurate, but let's just say it is: 3 reels, 1 pay line, 12 reel symbols per reel. What are the odds of winning? Since we're talking about a roulette wheel where every outcome is equal, let's see what the odds are. How many outcomes are there, first of all? Well, it's 12 symbols per reel, 3 wheels. So it's 12 to the third power, 12 cubed, 12 times 12 times 12, which is 1,728 possible reel combination outcomes. 1,728. And I'm pretty sure most slot machines have more than 12 symbols on a reel. It's a little hard to count, but about 12, because sometimes there's also stops in between symbols. So it could easily be 24, but I'll say easy. 12 by 12 by 12, 1,728. Could be a lot more than that. 5,000. What is 24 by 24 by 24? 13,824. But let's just make it simple and say it's 12 by 12 by 12. So the odds are determined by how many winning outcomes are there, divided by how many possible total outcomes are there? So if you look at an old style 3-reel machine, you have maybe 100 outcomes. Now, really, it's more like 25, but let's be generous here, and I'll say it's 100 possible outcomes. Everything from one cherry to the top jackpot. And, depending on the pay table, depending on the game. But the lowest amount, maximum amount, and then, of course, many, many, many zero amounts that could be outcomes. But of the winning outcomes of anything at all, it's one, or we said 100 winning combinations, right? Estimated it. 100 divided by 1728. This is 6%. 6% of the time that you would play this type of slot machine, which doesn't exist, but if you were to play this based on a roulette wheels, you would win 6% of the time. So that's if there is an equal chance for every outcome, and you got 100 combinations of that end up in a winning outcome, and 1,628 non-winning outcomes. So you've got a 6% chance of getting one of the 100 winning real combinations. Okay, math. Nye was here from Hawaii. He'd be glad that I'm not getting into the calculus, because all this can be described with calculus. Probably best described with calculus, because there's an equal chance of. Actually, did I get that right? Yeah. Yes. If there's a 6% chance of getting 1 out of 100, one of the 100 winning combinations out of a total of 1,728. Okay. What are the odds for any one combination? What's the odds of getting the unique top jackpot? 1 out of 1,728, which is 0.0%, 0.0006, or 0.06%. For the top jackpot real combination. All right. So, but the odds of winning 3 1 bars would be the same odds, 0.06%. So getting the top jackpot and getting the, another 3 symbols, identical 3 symbols, since there's only one possible way to get that, it has the same odds under this theory. So none of this works. Since theoretical, I told you this is not how slot machines work, but this is why it doesn't work. Since theoretical payout limits are often at a legal minimum of 75%, sometimes 80%, some states, and return statistics usually are around 90%, it's obvious a 6% chance of winning in our model, it's called, isn't how slot machines work. Slot machines are random, but they're not random like roulette wheels. Instead of the type of randomness where there is an equal chance of winning, like roulette wheels or the perfect die, slot machines use the type of randomness that you get from weighted averages. All right, I think that's a good stopping point. Let's check the many questions. I'll check in with a live chat, and I'll say hello and see what questions we have. Did I miss anything as far as... I don't think I missed any donations. Great. It's a priority to make sure of that. And look at all those comments. I think I said hello to everybody in the morning. There's a couple of comments. Wayne, about 2 hours ago, said, I'm not sure if he's still here, said slot machines are random big time. But let's talk a little bit more about randomness so we know what that means. And Steve says that, wow, their local, Steve's in Wisconsin, right? The local, if I remember correctly, the local casino by me, he says, and I'll show this so you can see it. The local casino by me last night, if you're watching this on the video now or later, unfortunately, I'll read it to the podcast listeners because this is also a podcast episode. Right. Good Saturday morning, everyone. From Steve, the local casino by me last night was packed with stimulus money. Wow, double exclamation point. And he also says, I can't imagine how much of it will be spent in such a short time. I guess that's what it was meant for. It's not called stimulus for nothing. I just hope people put it in there, put it to their needs. Right. If you put it into the savings account and never use it, it's not exactly stimulating the economy. It's just economics. Right. And Crystal says, no, they are not random. They are operating a computer program that gives the illusion of randomness. Right. A lot of these statements about randomness have to do with what do you understand about randomness? And a lot of people don't know about weighted averages. So I'll be talking a bit more about that and how this works. But, in order to understand slot machines, you have to understand the different types of randomness. And so they are random is what my position, what I understand of the technology, and I'll show you something shortly that you'll find interesting, I think. What I understand of the technology is that they are random, but not the kind of randomness people expect. If it was totally random, I think people mean like a roulette wheel. The odds, we'll talk about the consequences of that, but it would not be a fun game. And I'll go more into that. Okay, lots of hellos. People understand the champions, and anybody in any level of my YouTube membership gets a badge next to their name, which is based on how long they've been a member by month, and everybody's new. So if you see a little new badge next to people's names, they are members of this because I only started about a week ago. But as long time passes, it'll change numbers to a +1, +2, and those are all months. Okay, just trying to encourage you. Now, and then there's also emojis, but you have to type a colon. What is it? Cat, chicken, like, thank you, 777, LOL, or the word boom, and then another colon. And that's how you get my, what is it? I think I'm up to 7, maybe 8 emojis. It depends on how many people in the membership. Okay, questions. And good morning, everybody. I think I said that during texting before the live show. Okay, Sally has a question. Okay, so while I'm thinking about it, I have a question. I'm seriously trying to find a casino that gives a taste. I'm watching videos of people at certain casinos in the area. I may be able to get to soon. As long as they switch from one machine to another machine, more than a few times, I'd say really minimum 10 times, and you're sure that they're showing the video when they first sit down, that'll work. But a lot of these slots channels just go directly to one machine and stop and just play on that one. So you need more than just one machine to see this happen. But that's a good plan. Now, I'm not keeping a list. People tell me that it does work at this place and does work at that place, but I'm not, I don't have trained inspectors going out, and I'm not tracking which casino has it or doesn't have it, because if it goes under new ownership, the business changes what it does, maybe. And so you have to reassess, and it's easy enough to check. So, right. And I see some interesting questions still coming in, still rolling in. Let me get through a few of these. And before I get back to talking about different types of randomness. And so, yeah, I think that's a fine plan, Sally. So Joe's here from Prattville, Alabama. Welcome. Yep, Sally's talking about her plan. Yeah, okay. I think Sally's kind of got a resolution there. Joe likes to see. I do get reports from people. Strategy 4 and 5, the morning after big events, and some casinos like WinStar have a big event every night. And I talk about going early the next morning. Ira, welcome to the membership. Thank you. Let's see. And I think I answered that question. Right, grammar nerds. All right. Dave says, I'm confused on any when move to the next machine. So he's talking about, and this is a common question, talking about strategy one. What you're looking for is to collect tastes. So this is a topic that I'm not covering today. It does need to be covered, however, where in the first few bets, you win something. Well, that's a legacy setup, at least 50 years old, which, to be fair, has to be on every slot machine in a casino that uses it. So when my response to this manipulation, marketing, 50 plus years old approach is to take that taste and then move to the next machine and take that taste and just collect them. And that's what strategy one is basically about. Now, this isn't about how much you win, because you need to find out. It's not certain you'll make a profit. I saw my casino, there's a good adjustment the casino can make, which is how much do you win with the taste? And the taste is the first win. All right. So you might win a hand pay, if you do this in the high limit room. But then my casino, which gave out hand pays for that, reduced them to $500 wins, more or less around $500 instead of $5,000. And it took about 6 months before it dropped that low. And I was pretty disappointed. I got to say, I was pretty disappointed with the casino that they would do that. But then I realized, it covered gas money and lunch for the month, so I'm still making money. It just wasn't a hand pay anymore. I had to control my disappointment. So the casino can reduce how much you're going to win. And one of the checks you need to make is, am I making money? Because the next thing that happened was I would go to this high limit room and I would do the same thing I'd been doing for a year and a half. And suddenly I wasn't making a profit anymore. It gradually reduced and reduced and reduced until I was breaking even. And I was like, I'm breaking even, but it's not paying for gas or lunch anymore. It can end. And you may be the first person to use this strategy at your casino, but likely not. You are like, it's so obvious to see it that people get what's happening. They notice and they're like, I'm going to do that. And that's been true for a while. So they could have ruined it for you. It's like a promotion on British Airways to Fiji. If the word gets out, people swamp the call-in customer service system, and the provider of that drops it. So casinos can adjust how much you win. All right. I think I beat that one to death. Hopefully it helped. All right. But it didn't ask another question. Well, I'll try to get to it before the end here. Right. Looking through the questions here. All right. Kind of jumped around on me. MMNKYMN89. I only go to a casino maybe once a year, but your channel is still fun to watch. Welcome. And sorry, Sally, if it went over your head. I do try to be careful. In my articles and in my videos, I try to be very careful about making sure I explain concepts that people understand or teach new stuff. But when I'm off the cuff, I sort of like talk about calculus a little too easily. Sorry. And it's definitely a different, when I realized that slot machines didn't work like I thought they would, and there was all these reasons why not. Once I started looking into it, I had to adjust how I thought about slot machines. Right. How do you become a member on an iOS device? I don't have the join option next to the subscribe button on your channel page. To have the join button, you need to be logged in to YouTube. So if you can, did you type your comment from a desktop? because you need to be able to, that's a sign that you're logged in, but on your desktop. Now, if you typed in your comment in the live chat from your iOS device, that means you're logged into YouTube, and that's how, and the join button would be there. But if you're not logged in, the join button isn't there because there's no way to connect whoever it is that's watching to your YouTube account. All right. And Priceless USA, welcome. They're new and welcome. Their question is 3 worst casinos to go into. That's such a complicated question. What state are we talking about? Go to professorslots.com/ and then put in the 2-letter postal designation for your state. Professor Slots, assume U.S. state. professorslots.com/OH for Ohio, WA for Washington, DC for the District of Columbia. Put that in and you'll find my article about your state. And if there are any return statistics, which is from the state and not somebody's opinion, but data, a link will be there, and I will pull out and show the different return statistics for each casino. When I wrote that article, I write them 1 per week, and there's about 13 months of them per week. So I'll do the most recent month available at the time I wrote it. But I also provided a link so you can check for yourself for the most recent returns. And that's not an opinion. That is the data. But not every state offers it. So check your state. Okay. Let's see. Hi, Jojo. So good times, I hear you say good times are Saturday and Sunday mornings. True. If the casino was busy Friday night and Saturday night, it is one of the possibilities. This isn't about luck. This is about how the casino has set itself up. So you can check the day after a holiday, and I think we have Easter coming up. By the way, Easter is a Sunday and our live stream is a Saturday, so I'm not going to be holding a live stream. I think it's 2 weeks from now, because 2 weeks from now, because it's Easter weekend. Just to let you know, I'll let you know that again next time. So if your casino is set up to do this, if they have a big event, or more people come than usual, then between about 4:30, maybe 3:30, until probably not past 7 o'clock in the morning the next day, there's this accounting balance that casinos can do if they choose to do it. And that's a great time to just play any slot machine, because there's so few people there that they'll shoot it your way. So yes, but only if it works. That's true with all my strategies. Like the strategy 1 works at only 1 in 4 casinos, because only 1 in 4 casinos have, my cats are crazy. 1 in 4 casinos actually do the taste. They've chosen to set their casino up that way. So you just need to keep going to the next casino and test each one. I'd try each strategy at each casino and be very clear about, just do that one and decide whether or not it works. And that's how you find out. So I'm not trying to make you more lucky. Technically, I am trying to explain how casinos run themselves. Okay. Thank you, Tim, for saying I recently found my channel a few weeks ago. Many people have. I should have done YouTube a lot earlier. 4 years of not just getting like 2 people a week, and suddenly I'm doing subscribing. I just crossed 800,000 views on YouTube. So big numbers. I've almost watched all of your videos. I really appreciate how in depth you go. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. How do I feel? His other question is, how do I feel about online casinos? They're random. There's some possibilities they might still use strategy 1, but they're also not legal in most states. And that means you're not protected. So I feel terrible about online casinos, and I don't recommend them. And besides which, most of my stuff doesn't work because there's no reason why it would. However, if you are interested, I would go to the United Kingdom. I don't mean physically. I would mean visit Google the businesses that have sprung up in the United Kingdom about online casinos. The whole online casino thing is not big in the United States, but it's big in the UK, and businesses have sprung up around it. And these businesses will review each online casino and rank them by a bunch of different features. They will test each one and put them in order of best online casino, worst online casino, and why. Do that. And choose the best one. And I don't have anything for you about how to win. So that's how I feel about it. Right. I got to pick up the speed here. Hello from Shannon says hello from heading to Columbus, Ohio next month. Any suggestions on where to go? I found Cleveland to be a little better. There's an what's the other one? Is it Roxino, or is it changed? North Side. I thought that was pretty nice. They definitely do the horse racetrack with the slot machines. When I was there, definitely did the whole end of the row was a better machine than one next to it. I sat next to my he wanted to go. My internet lawyer wanted to go because he's around that area, and he was on the end of the row. He was winning, and I had the exact opposite experience sitting right next to him. And so there's your indication. It's real obvious that end of the row. Machines that can be seen from a distance. Last week's live stream can help you with that. Oh, gotta keep up here. Have I been to Minnesota? Not to play the casinos. I lived in Iowa for a number of years, and that isn't. Is that something? But this was back when I was learning about. I lived in Iowa until 2006. So this is before central servers, but I did go to Iowa casinos. That's where I learned a lot about that type. 3 worst casinos in Atlantic City. I think the one that was just torn down is probably the worst one. Sorry. Again, Tyler, if you want to know, New Jersey is a state that does provide return statistics. So go to professorslots.com. What are you doing, guys? professorslots.com/NJ and go down just before the summary. There's payout returns section and look and see. But use those links to go to the most recent return statistics, monthly return statistics. And look, this is not an opinion. This is data. What is going on down there? You might be hearing some of that. They're not fighting or anything. It's just they're into a box or something, climbed into a box. I just love that sort of thing. Yeah. All right. The cats are co-hosts, by the way. So, yeah, for the strategy 1.5, and yeah, we'll come back to this. 5 for the taste. Some people like to use 8. Some people like to use 3. I like 5. It's kind of the middle ground. I figure the taste is going to be soon, and I don't want to chase it. So I'd go with 5. That's myself. But others people who was it? I always forget who said things that they said they use the 100 pull method. 100 spin method, and I'm like, no, that's just playing. Dino, do you think manually stopping the reels actually stops when you want it, or does it stop at the pre-programmed location anyway? Absolutely, it stops at the pre-programmed location. Anyway, everything that's going to happen was determined when you push the bet button. You're just told in an entertaining fashion. Right. Anyway, seems like there's comments and other people explaining to others. Okay. All right. So good questions amongst everybody. Hi, Isaac. Good to see you. I'm late to the game. Don't worry. The crowd is just about to pour in. It's 15 minutes before the end, 17 minutes before the end of the live stream. And that's when the peak peaks tend to occur. I can even look at that myself on the viewer activity or analytics, and wow, look at that. I'm not going to show you. 38 people were here, 3 minutes into the show, and now we're peaking at 120, which is 3 more, and it's going to be a record. 650 playbacks. All right. But to continue, that was great. Getting back to average versus weighted average. If you roll a perfectly shaped die or spin a balanced roulette wheel, you have an equal chance at every possible outcome. Because that chance is so low, less than 6% to get a winning real combination if slot machines were roulette wheels, it would not be popular to play. Only a 6% chance of winning would mean slot machines would be, well, historic oddity few would remember. But instead, it's the most popular game in modern casinos by far. So game designers, and this is another point, people say, I know a game designer and it says da-da-da-da. And I'm like, game designers don't determine the odds of winning. Instead, they create real symbols, bonus games, and game rules to create the best possible player appeal. When they finish their design work, one of their obligations is to hand over a list of game outcomes. This list or table of real symbol combinations include how many credits are won for that combination. As already explained for my old style slot machine, most of these outcomes are a 0 win. The game designer's employee takes this table and removes all outcomes which have the same win amount. Not only are all but one of the many, many 0 returns removed, it removes all other duplicates. How do I say this? Let's say it has a double symbol and it has single bars. So double bar, double bar double, bar double, all worth the equal amount. Those 3s reduced to 1 because that's the amount 1, just 1 each of the amount 1. And this is the this is the reduced list of outcomes. And then this other team, besides the designers, I'll call it the odds of winning team or the odds team. They take this list and they set the likelihood of winning based on not the even odds seen in roulette wheels or perfect dice. But let's say you have the misshapen dice that we talked about, where it's not a cube anymore. It's stretched and pulled. Some sides are smaller, some sides are larger, and plenty of sides are in between. So they design for a slot machine, there might be 100 possible winning outcomes. Adding one outcome for 0, the odds team is essentially creating a misshapen die with 101 sides. Each side of this misshapen 101-sided die would have a different surface area, with the 0 win result having the largest area. While large, this surface area for the 0 side is much smaller than it would have been for this roulette wheel type slot machine that doesn't exist. So dropping the die analogy, which I hope helps you understand this odds team creates this list of weights to apply this list of outcomes and apply weights to each. And so you get a weighted average to the output of the random number generator. Historically, before central servers arrived in 2012, they did this 6 times. They generated 6 sets of weighted averages for all possible outcomes of the machine, one of which would be applied at any one time. Before central servers, these weighted averages were loaded into slot machines for one set to be selected by the casino at any given time, but they weren't programmed into the RNG. Not exactly. This is what This is what a 2009 video with 8 million views was trying to explain, but got wrong. And so a lot of people have misinformation. Before central servers, an army of slots mechanics would regularly open a slot machine and manually enter a code associated with one of these sets of weighted averages. They did this with about once every 7 to 10 days because there's so many slot machines and so few. It's an army of slot mechanics, but it still takes time to open up every one, punch in the code, shut it, and do the other things they need to do. They're busy. With central servers, casinos were able to reduce their army of slot mechanic employees to only have enough to perform maintenance on their slot machines, like cleaning fans, replacing broken buttons, or whatever service needs to be done, like installing new machines or removing them. Gone are the long days spent updating the odds of winning on individual slot machines. Instead, casinos reduce their operating costs by reducing the number of slot machine mechanics needed. This was the second best benefit, the second greatest benefit to them for switching to a central server, which would remotely update the odds of individual slot machines. The greatest advantage for casinos was how fast the central server can remotely update the odds on each individual slot machine. Instead of 7 to 10 days for slot mechanics, the server can update every slot machine daily, hourly, and more often. But to do this, they need two things. They need sets of weighted averages, which are also known as probability distributions in the field of statistics. Oops, slipped in some calculus. But they also need a plan. Casinos need a business plan, and slot machine manufacturers who also make central computer servers for casinos are happy to provide them. Now, I'm working through a bunch of different things to talk about with the random number generator, and this will not be the last time I talk about it. But let's nail some of this stuff down. This is U.S. Patent 6,302,791. It was issued in 2001. So it's before central servers. And I hope that you're watching on a desktop because it's fine print. But if you're watching on a mobile device, which many of you are, maybe you can read the patent number. Anyway, do I have the company name here? It's one of the slot machine manufacturers, of course. I think it's WMS Gaming. I think they've been purchased since 2001. And the authors and the inventors and assignee, WMS Gaming Inc. And so and I think I'll just show you a few things here. We've got a few minutes and there might be more questions, but this is sketches. If you've ever looked at a patent, mine, for instance, but not on slot machines, you might see stuff like this. So it's schematics, figure 1, figure 2. They kind of put them all together. And I'll come back to some of this, some of the outcomes. They call these figures here, 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, 4E, as these 5 as embodiments. I mean, patents are usually pretty technical. Nobody requires them to be easily read. They use the word embodiments. This is what I call the weighted average, the set of weighted averages, or probability distribution. They call them embodiments. Partly, I think, to disguise the fact of what they're doing. So what's happening is they have these 5 sets, and any one of them can be applied to a slot machine, and each one of them has different odds of winning. They don't actually show every weighted average. They just say what it would be for larger and smaller payoffs with a $3 bet. But you can see the odds change, right? And one of the things they use is a technical term called it volatility index. And you can see that change. So that's a little too technical, and we need to talk about definitions. After the figures are the text, block text, small text. It's going to be hard to read even if you are on a big screen. There is a paragraph here on page, column 3, and page 9, which says a memory system 44, and that's indicated in a previous screen, stores controller software, operational instructions, and data associated with a slot machine 10. In one embodiment, the system memory 44 comprises a separate read-only memory, ROM, and battery-backed random access memory, RAM. So the odds of winning in the read-only memory, which is loaded from remotely from the casino or entered by the slot machine mechanic before 2012 servers came out, is separate from the random number generator. Two different things. The random number generator is protected by law. Generally two state employees have to be standing there, and they have to make sure the tape that seals it is not cut through, and all the protection in the world. The storage device, the storage memory, which has the weighted averages, do not include, they are not on the chip with the random number generator. So, and that is protected by law, but not the same way. Random number generators are not accessible, or the State Gaming Commission will know. General statement. But the memory storage, they check that in a different way. They don't check to see if it's random. They check to see if you can be within the state requirements. Like some states have a minimum theoretical payout, and it has to be above that. This is testing software that comes from independent labs that the Gaming Commission hired. So they run this on a tablet or desktop when they plug into the slot machine, and they check to make sure that the protections under the law, which are different for random number generators versus the controlling software, the game and all that. Well, the game is actually controlled, but the inputs to the storage system, the ROM, that's at the choice of the casino. And before 2012, there was 5 right here in this patent, which are explained. Sometimes I've heard 6 as well. And you also, I want to jump back up to the first page, which has references. Each slot machine, at least they did before central servers, it's been translated somehow. The different weighted average sets of weighted averages, back when you had to code them in to a slot machine individually by the mechanic who opens the door and there's a keypad and they enter a number. This is all written down in what's called a product sheet. So referenced here are 2-page product sheets for a bunch of different games: Magic Lamp, Winning Streak, Top Cat, X Factor, Pharaoh's Bonus, Pharaoh's Fortune. These are all trademarked games from WMS Gaming. And these are the product sheets that they're referring to, the list of sets of weighted averages. Now, this all got translated over to central computer servers, which every casino has. How are we doing on time? Getting close. The central servers have on every casino except riverboat casinos, because they can't physically install it. The infrastructure of having a hull instead of a floor makes that impossible, but they're just dying to get it. So they still have slot mechanics, an army of slot mechanics who changes the odds. Some casinos, riverboat casinos, are able to now, the laws are changing in Indiana and Illinois so that they're able to build on property they already own next to the riverboat, build a casino. And so they're really looking forward to trying to do whatever they can to get to, being able to finally tune their financial performance metrics daily by having a central computer server. They really want that. Right. Questions in the last few minutes. Anybody screaming, Paula? Because this is very upsetting to a lot of people. Vanley, let's see if I can find everything. I'm going to have to just pick a couple here randomly. Try not to do a weighted average on my randomly. Do you have an opinion about online slots versus slot machines? Do they feel that the online machines are looser? No. Well, really what's happening is it's a business. Online slots are a business, and they are not most places. But when it's like a new casino that's been installed in southern Indiana on a cornfield, And the people within 50, 100 miles have never been to a casino before. And they're like, what is that? Well, the casino has a plan. They want to get to those locals familiar. They're bread and butter for them, but they need to let them win a little bit. So they tell the investors, the company tells the investors, we will give you your money, but we need to invest in the local community and get it up and running so we have regulars and make money. But then we'll sell it in a couple of years and all that'll be over. So you have to establish yourself in the local community. A lot of slot machines, this is new casinos are good for the first year, sometimes the first month, and it's all right there in the return statistics. Talked about it elsewhere. ProfessorSlots.com/ABC27 is my helping the evening news, ABC Evening News in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, do that for Penn National, their local casino. So you can do it too. So online slots are like that. They need to establish themselves in all these new markets, which are slowly opening up across the United States. And maybe you'll win so that you can tell somebody else, hey, I won. It's a great business practice. I got investors, but it's just the new ones, the newly open ones. It's not like you're winning. It's I totally experienced the new casino thing. It's great while it lasts. And that's my explanation. But in the long term, they're going to get paid. And that doesn't have anything to do with my strategies. All right. Getting close here. Actually, I think I've hit it. I am sorry. I've got like 3 pages of live chat. I'm going to need to figure out a way to sort things. Great. Let me just do one thing here. Those people who are a member of my channel get answers. So some people are asking other people. Let's see. Jan says tribal casinos have class 2 machines. Regular casinos have class 3. And just need to check everybody here. Everybody's talking to each other. I need to make sure I answer questions from people on the membership. And let's see here. Lots of thank yous from people. Oh, yes. Right. I have some end topics here to cover for those people who are ready to go. Right. I need to put out a notice for my top tier members, champions, on my YouTube membership. What's a good time to meet for our Zoom meeting? I will send you a message, which I can send just to you guys on YouTube. Pretty busy today. I'll do it this weekend. And we can talk about when would be good. I used to have a job, where I was unavailable. Now I'm pretty much available. So we can figure out Tuesdays at 2:00 in the afternoon. I don't care. As long as I'm not, sleeping that time. And I have a few other obligations, like Monday, I'm getting my vaccine, my first dose. Yay. So that's what, and Jan, that's the first thing I want to say to you and certain other members. Now, 1 year ago tomorrow, March 21st, 2020, I said, I need beta testers that can take the course for free. If you are on this call, there's only a few of those. If you're on this call, my new course is set up 2 days ago for pre-selling because I need to see if people are interested. And if they're not interested, then I don't build it. It's half built, but I will release it. And I'm trying to figure out when. It would be the first half of May. I'm trying to give you an exact date. I'll get that to you later. But right now, I'm pre-selling. If you are a member of a year ago who wanted to be a beta tester, I made a promise to you about having it being free to you. And I'm not taking any more of those beta testers. This is a beta course now, which is reduced by more than 50% from the final cost that it'll be once it's permanent, because I want feedback on how I'm doing. Now, it's pre-selling. You can go to that link I just provided, courses.professorslots.com, and sign up. Now, those of you who from a year ago, don't, because I will send you a coupon code, which you cannot share, one use only, that will allow you to have the 100% discount. Everybody else, I will open this. I will have it available soon. Registration is available now, but the course will start soon. My 30 days. I'm going over, but I do apologize for that. But let's take a moment so I can show you. Come on, show you what I mean. And I'm typing professorslots.com, or rather courses.professorslots.com. And I want to show you what that looks like. So here it is. I'm sharing the screen now. So I have online courses. This is only first of many, first of several. This is that page. Here you will see pre-order available for $97. This is the discounted more than 50% off from the final price, which will be $197. And it's going to be 30 days to play slots smarter and win, beta version. Once I get the feedback from everybody taking it, then I will open it back up again later. It should only be open for a little while. Some details I need to work out about how long it will be open before I start getting feedback and to make it better. And then it's the full price. So there it is. And those of you who talked about this a year ago, you know who you are. I'll send you an email this weekend with the code. Okay. Kind of think that's it. My apologies for going. I've never gone this far over, but there was a lot of things to talk about, lots of questions, and a lot more people. How did we do? 148. So we beat the prior record by quite a bit. And that's a good sign that maybe my content will sell. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I want you, thank you, those who watched live, those who watched later, those who are listening to my podcast episode, this will be loaded up into, I think it's episode 133 now. So if you're on the podcast listening, stick around. We'll be moving into the next segments of the show. And as always, have fun, be safe, make good choices. Bye. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. This is the next segment of the show on slot machine casino gambling. Here I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in the U.S. state, territory, or the federal district, emphasizing by far anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. Up next is Maine slot machine casino gambling in 2021. Here goes. Maine slot machine casino gambling consists of 2 parimutuel racetracks with slot machines. Bingo is available throughout the state. The minimum legal gambling age in Maine depends upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos and poker rooms, it's 21. For the lottery and parimutuel wagering, it's 18, and for bingo, it's 16. In 2003, Maine offered a referendum to its voters to approve slot machines at racetracks. The residents of Bangor approved it, but the residents of the city of Scarborough did not. To this day, the racetrack at Scarborough does not offer slot machines. In 2010, voters in the town of Oxford approved slot machines for their casino. The next year, the casino in Bangor approved table games. Maine's legal rights with regards to tribal gaming are unique relative to other states. The Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, IGRA, of 1988 does not apply, as it came after the Maine Indian Claims Settlement Act of 1980. As a result of this legal precedent, gaming on tribal land in Maine is subject to state law rather than the federal IGRA. Next up is a usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. In Maine, it is legal to own slot machines privately without regard to its year of manufacture. The State of Maine Gaming Control Commission is its gambling control unit. In this section, I discuss Maine gambling establishments. Maine has 2 commercial racetrack casinos with slot machines. The largest casino in Maine is Oxford Casino Hotel with 1,000 gaming machines. The second largest casino is Hollywood Casino Bangor with 923 gaming machines. The state of Maine has 2 racetracks with slot machines, including Hollywood Casino Bangor, 136 miles northeast of Portland, and Oxford Casino Hotel, 46 miles north of Portland. Maine has 4 federally recognized American Indian tribes. State law permits them to offer high-stakes bingo games without restriction to the size of prizes. resources. As an alternative to enjoying Maine slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in a nearby state. Bordering Maine is, to the northwest, Quebec, a province of Canada. To the east, New Brunswick, a province of Canada. To the south, the Atlantic Ocean. And to the west, New Hampshire. To visit any of my articles on these U.S. states, simply visit ProfessorSlots.com, followed by its two-letter postal designation. For example, my New Hampshire slots article is available at ProfessorSlots.com/NH. Are you interested in sharing and learning with other slots enthusiasts in Maine? If so, join our Maine slots community on Facebook at ProfessorSlots.com/FBME. All you'll need is a Facebook profile to join this private Facebook group freely. There, you'll be able to privately share your slots experiences as well as chat with players about slots gambling in or near Maine. Again, use this convenient link I've created to go directly to our group on Facebook, ProfessorSlots.com/FBME. Join us. Maine law requires theoretical payout to have a minimum limit of 89% on all electronic gaming machines. This state law requirement applies to any Class II bingo-style gaming machines offered by Maine's tribes. The State of Maine's Gambling Control Unit offers return statistics at casino revenue distribution. These revenue reports are monthly except for the most recent month, which is weekly. In these reports, average payback percent to players is Maine's casino's slot machine player win percent. For January 2021, the casino-specific monthly player win percentages were Hollywood Bangor, 91.2%, Oxford, 91.7%. In summary, Maine slot machine casino gambling consists of two parimutuel wagering racetracks with slot machines. A third racetrack offers parimutuel wagering without electronic gaming machines. Over the last year, there has been little change to slot machine gambling in the state of Maine. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Part 1 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast will include a live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Remember, my weekly Q&A session on YouTube is on Saturdays from noon until 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring whatever slots questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. An easy-to-remember link to my YouTube channel is youtube.com/ProfessorSlots. Feel free to stop by anytime during my hour-long live Q&A session. Part 2, the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast, is another brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the great U.S. state of Maryland. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode are on my website at ProfessorSlots.com/episode 133. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.